A very good evening to you and welcome to Citizen Business Online. I am Terry Ann Chibet. Now, Longhorn Kenya Limited is gearing itself up to cross-list its shares in stock markets across the East African region. Consequently, the firm has rebranded to Longhorn Publishers Limited to make it easy for its new brand to be accepted regionally. Longhorn, which is present in Uganda, Tanzania, Zambia and Malawi, is set to cross-list its shares on the Dar es Salaam Stock Exchange, the Uganda Securities Exchange, as well as the Rwanda Securities Exchange. Longhorn Publishers Limited MD Musyoki Muli says the move will eventually enable it raise capital to expand to new markets. Longhorn now joins a list of other firms in the country such as KCB, Equity Bank, East African Breweries and Uchumi Supermarkets that have cross-listed in the region. Now, both the national and county governments have been urged to wisely spend their funds when it comes to investing in technology. The Chief Executive Officer of SmoothTel, Raphael Mwangi, has said most of the projects involved in installation of information technology systems have not worked as expected as a result of using manufacturers who do not have a good record. Mwangi said this during the award of the gold certification status to SmoothTel by multinational corporation Polycom. The new certification will enable it to provide globally certified installation services.
Working with manufacturers that have been tested over time, that are world renowned. We've seen it even in the counties, many places that counties and even the government and even some private companies have invested in technology that has failed. So consultation, wider consultation and insisting on references and ability, looking at the ability for the companies to offer the solutions is key.
A lot of the opportunities for unified collaboration have already been implemented in the West. So what SmoothTel are suggesting is not necessarily anything that's new. These things have already been done. What is required is the expertise here on the ground.
Time now for our weekly agribusiness segment, Smart Farm. In this week, we take a look at a sweet herb that some experts anticipate will give sweeteners such as sugar a real run for their money in the next 5 years. And as Dennis Otieno now reports, the stevia plant is now taking root in Kenya with the promise of sweet returns to its farmers.
If you love taking tea, then you most likely love to add some sugar to it. But did you know there's a plant whose extract is 300 times sweeter than sugar, yet healthier? That sweet stuff is found in a plant known as the stevia plant. I recently traveled to Meru to meet one farmer who is cultivating that sweet herb.
Meet Peter Kirimi, a farmer based in Katheri, Meru County. Together with his wife, Peter is preparing dried stevia leaves for sale.
Hata wewe ukionja hapa sasa unasikia iko na tasty na tena inakaa kwa mdomo yako ama kinywa yako sana.
For over 20 years, Peter has been cultivating maize, potatoes, carrots and kales, and is also rearing dairy cows on his 7-acre farm. But mid last year, his son introduced him to stevia, a sweet herb that originates from Paraguay in South America.
Akakuja hiyo na mbegu na mambo yake na watu wakafanya nasarini hiyo kama ile unaona pale, wakafanya mwishowe ikawa sawa sawa.
Convinced about the commercial potential that lay in stevia farming, Peter took a loan of 11,000 shillings and set aside 2 acres of land for his new farming venture. Stevia thrives in sandy loam soils and requires regular watering, which Peter does through sprinkle irrigation. 2 months is all it takes for the stevia crop to mature. Peter has harvested the stevia crop twice so far.
Hapa nilipata kilo 112 na hizo ilikuwa inatoka shilingi 100 na shilingi 5. Hapo nikapata hiyo pesa. Wakati huu sasa mwisho wa mwezi hapa tuseme tarehe 18 nikikata hii yote napata kilo ngapi? 200. Na 200 unaona niko na pesa kama shilingi 28. Hapo nikaona hii mshahara yangu naweza kutosheleza kwa hii shamba.
Peter is among at least 50 farmers that have taken to stevia farming in this area, all of whom currently rely on middlemen to export their crop to countries such as China, Japan and Malaysia, where it is a popular sweetener.
Hawa watu wanakuja na tunaweka kwa makunia kwa maana hatuna station mzuri. Sisi ni watu wa kwanza na tunapeleka huko kwa rami na hapo tunanunuliwa na mara moja pesa nakuja.
And that is because there is still no stevia processing plant nearby to buy his produce directly. Recent projections of the global stevia market indicate that earnings from the stevia crop could grow by 9% annually over the next 5 years to top 52 billion shillings by 2020. India, Brazil and Russia are expected to fuel the consumption of stevia as the global sweetener market shifts to natural low-calorie sweeteners. Denis Otieno, Smart Farm.
Now, do you fancy owning a vehicle that runs on multiple types of fuel? Well, in Brazil, that's a luxury that motorists have been enjoying for almost 50 years now, thanks to the country's use of biofuels such as ethanol. Patrick Igunza is in Brazil, where car owners are taking this unconventional route every day.
A look at most roads in Brazil portrays the picture of a nation on the move. But what that glance may not reveal is that most of these vehicles do not entirely run on petroleum products. And that's because vehicles here are designed to run on either gasoline, ethanol, or a blend of both of flexible fuel. Flex fuel engine cars is the name of the game on Brazilian roads. These cars have electronic sensors that detect the fuel blend mix and automatically adjust the engine combustion mechanism.
It's up to the driver really when he's going to the petrol station. It's up to him to decide at that moment. You know, especially if he's going to drive like in the city, if he use petrol, it'll be better for him because he stops all the time, so the car will spend less.
It is a story that begins in the 70s, where huge oil imports hurt Brazil's economy. Back then, the country was importing 80% of its oil, and to counter the trend, the government implemented the National Alcohol Program, which was basically aimed at promoting ethanol production.
Disu Gazzoni is a researcher and expert on renewable energy.
We were looking to reduce the imports of petroleum, the oil, or its derivatives, directly refined gasoline or refined gas oil. So we looked for a better mix to the economy in order to support the price of the energy.
And so Brazil, which is the world's largest sugar producer, decided to ramp up the production of ethanol from its vast quantity of sugarcane. Almost 460 billion shillings worth of low-interest loans was disbursed to stimulate ethanol production. This has to a reasonable extent helped Brazil cushion itself against the effects of fluctuating oil prices in the global market.
Producing ethanol and selling ethanol to consumers represented savings of some 10 or 20% in the cost of energy to move in vehicles around the country.
All fuels in Brazil are now required to be blended with a minimum of 22% ethanol, with Brazil's state-owned oil company Petrobras being mandated to buy ethanol. As a result, it is now said that there are no light vehicles in Brazil that are running on pure gasoline.
The public policy states that between 20 and 27.5% of the gasoline, in fact, is ethanol. So we have a mixture of from 80 to 70% of gasoline plus 20 to 27.5 of ethanol.
Government subsidies have also lowered the price of ethanol blended fuels in comparison with the price of gasoline. But the difference between the price of ethanol and that of gasoline has narrowed in the recent past. Currently, the price of a litre of ethanol is quoted at 3 reals and 36 cents, or about 95 shillings, while gasoline is going for at least 3 reals or 85 shillings per litre, depending on the location.
It's almost the same, because if you fill with ethanol, it's still cheaper, but you can drive less per kilometer. And if you use gasoline, you'll pay a little bit more, but you can drive more as well.
4 years ago, we had 60% of our vehicles were moved by ethanol and 40% by gasoline. Then we had the reduction of the oil price in the international market, and the break-even of the ethanol is just around $40 and $45. So we had a tremendous difference when the international price of oil was around $110, $120 a barrel. Now we are just in the break-even, so it's almost neutral from the economic standpoint to buy either ethanol or gasoline.
Further widening the options for cheaper fuel is the availability of motor vehicle gas.
This is the cylinder which contains the gas.
For 4 years now, Danilo, a resident of Londrina, has been driving a vehicle that was modified to alternate between the use of gasoline and GNZ.
The gas is better for me because when I use the gas with 3 reais, I can drive around 70 kilometers, and if I take this money and buy gasoline, I can buy only 1 liter, which I can drive only around 7-8 kilometers.
And that's Brazil for you, a country where biofuels are powering the transport system. But the Gunza Citizen Business Center in Londrina, Brazil.
Meanwhile, at the currency market, the Kenyan shilling has firmed against the US dollar as investors sold dollars to take advantage of the shilling's near 3-year low to the dollar. Now, according to the Central Bank of Kenya, the shilling is now trading at an indicative rate of 91 shillings and 81 cents buying, 91.95 selling. The home currency has, however, lost ground to the euro and the sterling pound to exchange at 98 shillings and 91 cents buying, 99 shillings and 10 cents selling versus the euro, and 136.82 buying, 137.14 cents selling to the sterling pound. Let's come closer home. The Kenyan unit is trading at 7 shillings and 44 cents buying, 7 shillings and 54 cents selling to the Rwandese franc. To the Tanzanian unit, the shilling is exchanging at 20 shillings and 17 cents buying, 20 shillings and 31 cents selling, while trading at 31 shillings and 40 cents buying, 31 shillings and 56 cents selling against its Ugandan counterpart. Well, and on the stock market, let's see how various shares closed the day at the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Leading the gainers was Standard Group, followed by BOC Gases. Longhorn Kenya also closed 4.8% higher, even as it announced plans to cross-list its shares for trading in stock exchanges across the East African region. And on the losing end of the table, Kenel Kobil build the day's trailers, followed by Unga Limited and Mumias Sugar Company. Well, and that's how we wind up Citizen Business Online tonight. I'm Terry Chibet. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night.